Starting with you, obviously, this is a kind of a big game for you. What are the emotions? What are the thoughts about going back to where you just started for the last 4 years?
Um, I'm excited, ready to play, but obviously it's just another game starting now, like getting prepared for that game and things like that first Big Ten game, so we know how physical that's going to be, everything like that. But I'm just excited to go back and play. Well, like you say, where I was at 4 years ago, like there's a lot came with that. I put in banners, like one of the first, get the most wins from there. So I'm just excited to go back.
When you committed to Penn State, well, how important was Coach Ferry to your decision and to your development when you were there?
Oh, real important. I actually committed to him before I committed to Penn State. So like, I'm just a big guy on loyalty, and that's like one of the guys that started recruiting me early, and like we built that bond, and I trust him. So it had a big decision to do with that.
Did that then have a big decision or big part in the decision to ultimately not come back for a fifth year? Him
Yeah,
not staying there?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I just want like finish. I feel like my old coach that was there, then we could have rocked out, but things happen for a reason, and I'm glad I'm here now.
What sort of reaction do you think you'll get when they announce your name on Sunday? What do you think the Penn State fans might do when they hear your name?
I'm not even sure. Like probably both. I have both of both worlds. Some cheering, some booing. It's just how it go. Like I done had like a couple of fans and friends reach out to me already saying they're excited to watch the game. They're gonna be at the game, stuff like that. But obviously they're a school. We a different school. We competing, so I won't be surprised if I got a couple of boos or whatnot.
Jamari, are you able to actually help, the Buckeyes with the tendencies for other guys that you used to play with on Penn State at all, or is that really not something that they ask you to do?
That's not something they asked me to do, but that's something I do because it's gonna help us win. So just talk about each player's strength because I played with them for 4 years. So just helping our scout even go farther and stuff. Just telling like what to expect from each player and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, I want to win, and that's all that matters. Win. So I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get that win.
How would you break down guys like Seth and Sam for Penn State, and what makes them, stand out and makes them so good?
Just run Seth off the line. He'll quit. He'll streaky scoring. So once he gets started, it's hard to like stop him off. So just make him feel uncomfortable all night. Make it hard for him, which we do as a team. Just state our principles. We feel like if we just control what we could control, then we'll like the outcome at the end of the day.
For both of you guys, coming off of the win the other night, I assume you want to carry over that momentum into this game. How do you not let there be a letdown after beating the #1 team in the country?
Right. Yesterday, doing after I practice, coach like ripped up the stat sheet and everything like that game in the past. Like we can't keep living on that game. It's on to the next. We have one game not gonna make or break this season, so we just gotta keep building on.
Yeah, just kind of what he said too. Like I feel like we can't be stuck in the past. Like it's a long season ahead of us, and we got a good team in Penn State. We gotta focus and play for.
Does this game almost become even bigger? I mean, I know it's a conference game, so obviously there's that side of it, but just to keep that momentum, is this almost bigger than the last game because of that fact?
Me personally, I feel like every game is bigger because you just building on. You don't want to look at the past, and like this is Big Ten play, this first league play game, so we know like
Definitely gotta make a statement.
Yeah, fact. So.
You have an experienced Big Ten play in an Ohio State uniform, but you obviously know what Big Ten play is like. How do you describe it to players who they're going into their first ever Big Ten conference game?
Right. Just telling it's gonna be very physical. A lot of ups and downs. Bring your old road attitude with you, because in this league it's hard to win on the road. And just really just be ready to battle for 40 minutes.
Is that something that you expect coming in, Malachi? Is like that physicality of the Big Ten?
Yeah. I hear it a lot. The physicality of the Big Ten. I'm ready for it. I feel like I've been tested. Through these games, but I know it's gonna be a big test on Sunday.
Malachi, when you talk about being tested, I was thinking about in the Florida game, you had a two-handed dunk from the right block, and you got blocked from behind.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that's probably never happened to you before.
Yeah.
When you talk about like being tested at things, how much do moments like that remind you of like the level and what it takes to succeed when you're playing here?
It means a lot, for real. You know, on that play, I feel like I kind of went up slow, and it was kind of easy for him to block. If I would have went up fast, I would have easily got the bucket. So just stuff like that, you know, I'll work on things in practice that I need to get better at. So, you know, just kind of adjusting and just playing at a faster pace.
Coach Holtmann has talked about that sometimes in a game, if you might make a mistake or two, that you get down on yourself a little bit, and he has to kind of try to bring you out of that. Where do you think you are in that process of getting more used to that, knowing that, you know, it's a tough level, you are going to make mistakes?
Yeah, I feel like I've grown in that area a lot, you know, since high school until now. I feel like, you know, if I make a mistake, I just get it back on the other end. I feel like that's where my mindset is at, and it's been that for a couple games, especially these past games. So, yeah, I've definitely gotten better at it. Just, it's an improvement. You know, I just got to keep working.
No, you and Michi have some of the highest usage rates among freshmen in the Big Ten. They're obviously counting on you guys for a lot this year.
Yeah.
The way that the last game ended with Jamari and with Cedric out there, what is it like to watch the last couple of minutes of a game where a team makes a run, and obviously coach is going to stick with the guys that are doing well, but what was that like for you to watch that last 6 minutes or so and see those guys put together a run?
Yeah, it was great. You know, just, you know, cheering on my teammates. That's, you know, just being a good teammate. You know, that's one of the things Coach Holtmann wants everybody to be is a good teammate. And, you know, I really was just trying to get the dub. You know, I didn't care if I played or not. You know, I was just cheering on my teammates and trying to cheer on the rest of the team on the bench and just trying to get us locked in, you know, just to help the team on the court. So.
Is there an area of play that you've seen a lot of improvement in over like your first, say, 8 or so college basketball games?
Area of play.
Like whether it's scoring, driving, passing, like is there an area?
I feel like my passing, just like reading like decisions in that moment. I feel like that's been my improvement so far. You know, I make the right pass. You know, I still got to improve in that area, but I feel like I've been improving game by game by that.
Jamari, I'm just curious, what do you feel your role is to try to score for this team? Because, you know, people can, you know, scout you, look at your, you know, past season box scores and notice you're a defensive specialist. That's where your bread and butter is. But you always seem to have, you know, throughout the game, a good few open looks. And when you knock them down, it seems to be a real difference maker for the team.
Right, just I feel like just keep being aggressive on that end of the floor. Just be more aggressive, like Coach just talked to me about things like that. Like take what the defense give me. They gonna go on the screens, give me that shot, then take that. Things like that. So just keep just picking and choosing my spots on the floor.
I'm also wondering, and I know you came to a new team, but you played such good defense throughout your entire career, and everybody knows that. Is it fun to show that to freshmen who are just coming to the team for the first time? Sort of like an initiation of this is what the defensive intensity is like in college basketball. I'll show you firsthand.
Yeah, absolutely, because at the end of the day, it's going to make them better, and they're on my team. So I feel like just us competing every day in practice and just showing them that side, like it's going to be very physical and just showing, like, if you score me, you score anybody. So I feel like it just make them better all around, just make our team better at the end of the day.
Did you get to experience
yeah,
that,
a couple
Malachi?
times, you know, yeah, he guarded me a little bit, so he stole the ball a couple times. But I also got a couple buckets on him, so, you know, it's definitely good to compete against him and the other guys in practice. So.
Jamari, when you talked about that road mentality, do you like being booed? Does that fuel you? Does that drive you?
Yeah, absolutely. Just the booing, the trash talking, all that just get me going and get me to the next level. Cause like where I'm from, that's how we play anyway. So just I've been playing like that my whole life. So just bringing it up to this level just gonna help me even more.
This crowd that you're going to play in front of on Sunday has cheered you for so long. Like,
Right.
how weird will that be if you do get some of those boos that you said might happen?
I'm not sure how until it happens. I'm not sure how I feel, but at the end of the day, like I really don't care about what they say, anything like that. Only thing I'd be happy is if we can walk out there with the win. So at the end of the day, then I get the boo.
Jamari, what did it feel like a couple years ago when Ohio State came in there ranked and you guys had your way with Ohio State that season? What did that feel like to I mean, there was the crowd or the court storming after the win. How did it feel to be a part of that moment for that program?
Big, because it's a good moment for the program at the time and just competing with my brothers that are still my brothers to this day. It was big and things like that. And we always like joke about it, like with the coaching and stuff, just about the games, old past games we played each other, things like that. So it was big at the moment.
To sweep Ohio State that year? I mean,
yeah. They always say we took a championship from them that year, so we always joke about that.
And what was your reaction when you saw that this was the first Big Ten game for you? Like you transfer, first time you're going to go on the road for Ohio State has to be the place where you just were. What was your reaction when you looked at the schedule?
I'm like, dang, that's crazy. But I'm excited too. Like, I'm glad it's like that. Everything happened for a reason. So,
Jamari, I'm curious because it's one game in Big Ten play, and then you're back to kind of non-conference games.
Right.
But I mean, having experienced that before, I mean, what is that like? Is it kind of just a taste of, okay, this is what it's going to be like full time come January, and this is where we need to be? Or how do you guys approach this one, knowing it's kind of it's a huge game, it's a conference game, but it's a one-off, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it'd be big, and I just feel like this schedule we had, this non-conference schedule, prepared us for this first Big Ten game. I feel like we got one of the hardest non-conference schedules in the country, so just playing all these games leading up to the first Big Ten game is going to help us out a lot. But like I said, it is the first Big Ten game, but at the end of the day, it's just another game. We just got to focus on ourselves. We can't look at it going into like, oh, this is league game, stuff like that. Like, we just know it's going to be more physical and just expect what's going to happen. But just to control what we could control and do what we do, and we'll like the results.
We got two more.
Malik, I was just wondering if there was a point in that Duke game, you got into a mid-range groove early in that game, you hit a few shots. Was there sort of a pinch me moment? I don't know if you were a college basketball junkie when you were growing up, but everybody knows Coach K and Duke. Were you just like, man, this is this environment, everything about this?
The atmosphere is crazy. I love games like that. So I was just trying to do my part. I had a couple good open shots, and I was able to knock them down. So.
Because I know nobody really wants to play in a tight game, and nobody wants to lose one like you guys did before the Duke game. But to have those kind of games in the non-conference under your belt now, and to be able to go into Big Ten play, having experienced, not just some like rough and tumble play, but also like the tight games where you really have to be on it in the final couple minutes. Like, what does that do for the locker room? Not just on the court, but like for the locker room to know like, hey, we can get through these kind of games and come out, against the number one team in the country and beat them in that kind of game.
I feel like it just make us even closer, like tighter and things like that. We always believed in each other, things like that. But moments like that, it just show us like in basketball, every possession matters. So you can't take a possession for granted, and just getting that win, just bringing us even closer, things like that. And just learning from our past mistakes, like when we had a tough loss against Florida, learning from that and bringing it over to the Duke game. Now when we get in that situation, we know what to do. We know how to handle it to come out with the win. Thank you.
They know about Coach? Yeah. You're here and he's not? Yeah, right. No, we're excited about the opportunity in front of us here, a Big Ten opener at Penn State. Got a lot of respect for them as a program. Certainly, there's a handful of guys on their roster that have a lot of familiarity with the Buckeyes, and it's going to be a challenge for us. We know that. Certainly the toughest challenge to date, and our players will be prepared for that and ready to go with full respect for Penn State and what they bring to the table.
Well, Ryan, you're sitting here and not Coach Holtmann. What does that change in the game prep Like, do you have to take on other responsibilities if he's sick for a day?
Well, we right now, not much, to be honest with you, because he's been in regular contact with our staff. We're practice planning as normal, and we're going to have a great practice today, get ourselves ready to have a great one tomorrow, and then leave for Happy Valley after that. So, from a planning standpoint, no. From an on-court standpoint, that'll be our job as assistant coaches to make sure that we have a great practice today and get our team prepared for a battle.
I wondered, as a whole, looking at that Duke game, when you have Zed doing what he was doing down low and EJ kind of doing everything like he kind of has all year, and when you have one of your guards really hitting some shots, and is that the optimal way that this offense will look when you have kind of those, whether it's a different guard, whether it's a different post guy, but getting contributions sort of those three areas of the game, is that the ultimate look for this offense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I think you've seen this even in a short season thus far, is we have a lot of different guys that can step up in different ways, and I think that's going to be our challenge moving forward, is to continue to define ourselves as different guys step up from an offensive standpoint. So I think everybody knows we're going to play through EJ. Zed has certainly established himself in the early going as a real threat down low with his physicality and force that he plays with. And our perimeter guys have, we'd love to have a little bit more consistency, but part of that is lack of experience and lack of familiarity. So we sort of went into this knowing that's going to take a little bit of time, Adam, and we're happy with the progress we're making. We're really excited. I think you're seeing growth in a lot of areas, most especially in the backcourt. And Jamari has given us everything that we've wanted out of him. A great floor game. I know he struggled in the first half against Duke the other night, but came back and really battled for us, and has been a real steady presence for us from a floor leadership standpoint.
It's good to see you up here, Ryan. I'm wondering, there's some cases where you get a win over a team like Duke and you worry about the mental letdown in the next time out. But since your team lost a tough game to Xavier, lost a really tough game to Florida in the way it ended, you almost think it works in the opposite way for your team right now. Like you saw how the toughness and the physicality and what that brings out in your team, and you can carry that forward now.
Yeah, you hope that, and I think this is what Coach was thinking with this early schedule was it's going to expose you very quickly, and we've been exposed in a variety of ways, positively and negatively. I think you'll take hopefully some great experiences from that Duke game, especially in the second half, that will galvanize us as a unit. I'd like to think that we've learned from some of our mistakes and our errors in the Florida game and the Xavier game, and even some of our early season games. So what I will say is, I think for being the start of December, I think more than other years, we've had a variety of experiences as a team and situations that we've sort of had to navigate, whether that be injuries, foul trouble, close games when we maybe didn't expect such a close game, having leads, the other night being behind. So we've had all kinds of, sort of different scenarios that we've had to overcome, and for a young team, you want that. And I think some of our younger guys have grown and have shown growth, and I think you'll continue to see growth in the next few months. And it's allowed some of our older guys to kind of pull the weight early on, and I think they've done a really good job of that.
One of the things I was wondering about is, I'm sure even you guys as coaches have looked at what the pandemic and some of the super seniors, that extra year of eligibility, what that's provided. The transfer portal's been there, but you just, even with some key guys being out, and we know that, you seem to have all these options. Like, do you guys find that fun to try to, is it Cedric Russell tonight who's going to come in?
Sure.
Is it Michi who's going to come in and play big? Is it Malachi going into the starting rotation? You have all these different options that you can pick and choose from. Is that a hassle or is that fun?
No, it's part of the challenge. It's coaching sometimes can feel like, that you're working a Rubik's Cube and you're trying to kind of figure it out as you go in terms of substitution patterns, in terms of who you're able to bring along at certain times throughout the year, and then what combinations, obviously lineup combinations, work best for you. So, I think it's all part of the challenge that we'll have this year, good and bad. But the reality is, I think there's a lot of guys on this roster that can help us at specific times throughout the year, and I think you've seen that in a short season already. And Coach has alluded to this. I know after a few of the games, he said, we don't have it figured out in terms of our rotation. And, let's not forget Cedric Russell's first day on campus was the last week in August. So he didn't have the benefit of a summer. And I know he has high expectations, but part of that is understanding it's going to take a little bit of time for a guy like Cedric. And then our freshmen learning. They've been thrown into the fire, and perhaps more this year than in normal years. And we're proud of them, man. They've worked hard. They've been coachable. And like I said, I think they'll reap the benefits of going through some tough times or some ups and downs early on in the season, later on as we get into January, February, and March.
Coach, how much are you able to use Jamari as a tool for scouting Penn State? Obviously, you played with him for several years. Do you ask him to do anything like that? And also, what have you seen out of his mindset and approach to this game, if it's differed at all from the last several games?
Sure. I haven't seen anything to this point, and I'm sure it'll be an emotional time for him, a couple days here as he would prepare to go back to a place that he loves and a place that he called home for 4 years. So Jamari's a great kid. Our plan with him is to, let him know that he's got a job to do. And Jamari is focused. He's as focused as any guy as we have on the roster. I'm sure he'll have some emotions going through his head and his heart, but at the end of the day, he's got to focus on the task at hand and doing what he needs to do for our team. So does that answer your question? Yep.
Ryan, you said that the practice plan is the same or trying to be the same without Chris. Do you guys know yet if he'll be able to go with you on Sunday and coach, or any indication yet on his?
We anticipate yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's not feeling well, and I think by choice he didn't want to be around the team to expose himself to the team today, and I think it's probably in his best interest to lay low for a minute too.
Do you think, maybe it feels like last year in some ways, or that you maybe have learned from managing COVID, that a coach probably wouldn't want to have taken a day off or anything like that before? Maybe he's more comfortable with it because you had to put these protocols in place last year. Is that fair to say that's maybe a little bit different approach now? Yeah,
sure. So it's been, I think for all of us in competitive sport in the last year and a half, it's been a challenge. You've got to be prepared for the unexpected, and we've got a great staff in place. It's not going to fall on one person, and we work so well together that I know Coach has a lot of confidence in what we're able to do with the team, and we're going to play our role to the best of our ability. But he's doing better, and anticipate him being back.
Ryan, obviously it's the first Big Ten game. It's first Big Ten game in an Ohio State uniform for a lot of guys.
Sure.
But Jamari's been there. He knows what Big Ten basketball is about. What about a guy like Malachi? Like, how do you explain him to him? How do you get him ready for this experience, especially for it being the first time that he plays in conference play? Well, how do you get him ready?
Well, there's an intensity when you get into league play that you can't quantify verbally. It's something that you got to experience. We can show them video and show them film and prepare them, but the reality is until you get in the arena, until you're on that stage and you feel it, you learn best when you're on the fly like that. So certainly Penn State, they're an older team. They're one of the oldest teams, I believe 7th oldest team in the country, 7 seniors or super seniors. They've got big, strong, mature bodies. So we'll have to be prepared for that. It's going to be a battle. We wouldn't expect anything less. It's going to be every Big Ten opener is a war, and the 19 after that are too. So, getting him prepared mentally for that would be one thing, but I think getting him out there to experience that, get the feel for what it really is like, and the heightened level of competition. I know he's looking forward to it.
Maybe it depends on the player, but I mean, is it something that you can learn in, say, one game? Because obviously it's one Big Ten game, and then it's back to non-conference game until January. So I mean, is it a one-game thing that you kind of just get it immediately, or does it depend on the player?
It's a process. I think the easy answer would be to tell you that it's different for every guy. We've had guys that sort of picked up on that a little quicker. We remember E.J. Liddell's freshman year, and by middle of January, early February, he was one of our better players. I don't think you could have said that on this date, his freshman year. So being thrown into the fire is a valuable thing, though, and it'll expose you if you're not playing at that level with that intensity, and how quickly you're able to learn that and sort of shift your level. I think that's going to be the big key. And I know Malachi is a real competitor. He's not afraid of the biggest stages at all. His past would prove that to you, and I know he'll do fine. I'm sure there'll be some lessons to learn early on, but he's a quick learner and he's very coachable.
Ryan, you've been with Chris for a long time now, but being the head honcho today or for the next couple days, what's a Ryan Peden practice run like?
I don't know. I'm going to do the best I can do for our team in my role, and I'm not trying to be someone I'm not. I'm very comfortable in my own skin. I have a job to do as an assistant coach, and today that might mean something different because the boss man's not here, but I know how he'd want practice run, and there's standards that we follow and that we practice on a daily basis, and that'll be our job, not just my job, but our job as coaches and then the leaders of the team to keep the ball moving forward. And there's no days. You certainly can't waste days once you get into the season. So every day is very important. Our preparation today is going to lead us into our final preparations tomorrow, and then ultimately our performance on game night. So, it's all very connected in terms of how we view it, and I know our guys aren't going to miss a beat. That we've got a mature team and guys that understand what's expected of them.
Is it fair to say that the Penn State game is bigger because of what happened Tuesday night, that you need to carry that momentum to some degree as opposed to letting things slip away or thinking too much of yourselves as young players and whatnot?
Sure. It's human nature, I think, it's all around us, the reactions to the Duke game. The reality is, in basketball, you don't have time to enjoy the fruits. And so our players will have to understand that. They know we've got to turn the page and do it very quickly. The challenge we have in front of us is going to be tough on the road. There's no doubt about it. But you hope from a coach's standpoint and viewpoint that we can carry some momentum that we gained the other night, carry some confidence, some belief in ourselves in tough moments, and hopefully that can help to propel us on to bigger and better things down the road. But the reality is you got to go out there and prove that every single night. You got to earn that. And there's nothing guaranteed, and that's I think our players, older ones especially, understand that. They know every night you've got to go out and prove yourself, and we're looking forward to the challenge on Sunday night.
I think Jamari told us that Chris ripped up the stat sheet from the other day and said it's in the past. Do you continue to reemphasize that with them, or do you think the message has been received based on what you've seen?
Yeah, it better have been received. We got to turn the page and do it quickly. So a great win, emotional win, but you got to be able to compartmentalize the wins and the losses and block out the noise, whether that's positive or negative. And the older players know that and understand that, and we'll lean on them to guide the mindset of that locker room, in addition to the things that we're preaching and teaching and emphasizing on a daily basis as coaches. But the good teams understand you've got to pick up and move on very quickly. The great thing about my boss is his mindset, the way he coaches on a daily basis with our team in that locker room. You would have a tough time recognizing if he was teaching during a film session after a win or a loss. And I mean that. Our players would say that. And I think that's a great quality. And it's something that our players hopefully took to heart. And, we learned from the good and the bad the other night, and we got to take that and move on.
Different note, but do you value doing this when I know you talked to us on Zoom a couple weeks ago and stepping in today? Just I know you have ambitions for yourself and whatnot, a chance to kind of step in front and run practice and things like that. I mean, is this a valuable opportunity for you? Sure.
Yeah, it's different because I've been an assistant coach my whole career. This is year 21 for me, and I've been an assistant coach the entire time. And to be honest with you, on a day-to-day basis, that's all my mind is on, is being the best assistant coach I can be. So, I realize maybe things are a little different for all three of us assistants today in coach's absence, but I think you just got to in these moments you focus on the job at hand and what coach wants from you, what my role is and what's needed, and ultimately what's best for our team. What does our team need from us? So, he's prepared us well, and he's given all of us responsibility, and we're obviously confident enough in what we're doing and have such a strong belief that I think the train, assuming our leadership is where it needs to be from a player standpoint, the train will keep on rolling.
You talked about Penn State's size and their experience. They're not turning teams over like the Penn State teams we have historically seen, especially since you guys have been here. How are they different in that regard, where they're going to put pressure on you, but maybe not? Maybe some of you have Jamari and they don't. But how is that different? Yeah,
they're definitely, I would say, a little bit different defensively than they have been the last few years. They're very position-based. They don't get as extended as they have in the past. They're very sound. I'll say that. They're very sound. They make you earn everything. They don't give possessions away. They won't give you easy baskets. You've got to earn what you get from an offensive standpoint. But, their head coach, he came from Purdue, but he's got a background dating back to Butler as well. And I see some of both programs in how they defend. And I know, as well coached as they are, they're going to fight you tooth and nail for every single possession. That hasn't changed. That's been part of the Penn State DNA for as long as we've been here. So we know what to expect. Our older guys have been over there and have experienced some of those games. And we realize no matter where you're going, if you're home or road, once you're playing on this stage in the Big Ten, you've got to bring it every single night. And, we're looking forward to the challenge and what lies ahead for our team and continued growth, in the days ahead.
Can I just hit one last one?
Yep.
I think the mic, there we go. Zed, just what kind of breakthrough was that for him? And I know you work with him closely. Just what does he have to concentrate on a Wednesday, Saturday, 2 games a week basis going forward? You didn't have to get 20 points every game, but to have that kind of an impact.
Yeah, it's a great question. And Zed, success he's had is well deserved. It's earned. He's earned that. He's earned that because he's worked hard. You've watched him in those moments, in those games. There's been no question about his effort in those moments. And for Zed, his focus and concentration in terms of what he's doing on a daily basis and his effort, attention to detail. Those are things that'll guide I believe it'll guide his success moving forward. But Zed's had a really positive start to the season. He knows we're all over him about his rebounding. He's got to do a better job rebounding and chasing balls down. But the presence that he's given us, the physicality in the paint, has been impressive. But yeah, he's guys are going to know about him now too. So they're going to It'll be a little bit different approach for him than it was a year ago, because guys are going to be coming at him even more. And so he'll have to respond to that, but his attention to detail, his focus, and his effort, I think those things are all improved, and he's got to continue to improve in those areas if he's going to maximize the player that he can definitely be. All right? Okay.